Welcome to Hadley Presents. I'm your host, Ricky Enger, inviting you to sit back, relax, and enjoy a conversation with the experts. In this episode, Hadley's Chief Innovation Officer, Doug Walker, joins us for Vision Bloopers Shopping Edition. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Hey, Ricky. It is going to be a lot of fun today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, be prepared for lots of laughter. We had a staff edition of Vision Bloopers, and Doug, you were on that as well.
Yeah.
And during that, we told some funny stories and invited people to share their own bloopers because we know that these things happen. And you can either feel embarrassed and wish it had never happened, or you find that way to kind of chuckle about it. And you may not be able to chuckle about it immediately, but you get there eventually.
Not at first, right? Yeah. So you do get that initial, oh, I hope no one saw that or,
Yes.
or heard that or whatever that. But then later on, when you're talking with other people. So I think that's what today's going to be all about.
Yes, that's it exactly. I know that we had so many bloopers shared that we actually had to divide them into categories, which is really, really cool.
That is awesome. So does that mean we're going to get to do this more than once?
I certainly hope so, yes.
Yeah, I hope so. That'll be fun.
So today's subject of bloopers is going to be shopping. So these are things that happen when you're shopping or headed to the store or leaving the store, or just any number of things can go wrong when you are out and about shopping. So
anything and everything, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm sure we could have parts 1, 2, and 3 on just shopping, and that would just be mine.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to say. You and I could probably fill up several episodes, right?
Well, thankfully, we don't have to because we have so many responses that we are delighted to share with people. Now, some of these are spoken directly by the people themselves, and some of them, Ed Haynes was gracious enough to read for us. So we're going to hear multiple voices on this one. And I figure, why listen to us babble on and on? Why don't we jump right into the bloopers?
Exactly.
First up, we have Carol.
Hi, Ricky. Carol Mackey calling from Maine. And I love the idea of blind bloopers. Oh, my goodness. It makes me chuckle just thinking about it. And I have a couple, one in particular. Last fall, I believe it was, I went into a small gift store with a friend. And she was looking around, and I was standing. I don't see well, so I was just standing, kind of glancing around. When she was done shopping, she was going to check out, so I was standing waiting for her and was just looking around. And next to me, I looked and saw a wonderful sweater. I thought, oh, what a beautiful sweater. Reached over and started feeling the sweater. Well, the sweater turned around because the sweater was on someone. And the woman and I just started laughing. And she said, oh, you like my sweater? Well, ma'am, we just were laughing, and that was the end of it. But it was just one of those things that happens, and it happens to us. When our sight begins to go to hell in a handbasket, it happens.
Yes, It does. I have to say, at least she was saying something nice about the sweater, right? It was
That's true. Ooh, this is really rough material. Who would buy something like that, right? So, but it's really nice when people do notice and they kind of go along with it. So that was really nice that the sweater actually had nice things to say,
Yes, when the sweater is able to laugh with you.
Exactly. Oh, that is great. I love that.
So next up, I'm sure lots of strange and funny things happen in Home Depot, and Jeff joins us to talk about a story that happened to him when he was shopping at Home Depot.
From Jeff. My blooper is, Grandpa got lost at Home Depot. I was at Home Depot with my wife and my granddaughter. When we went into the store, my wife and I had to go to the restroom. So she pulls the cart and I follow along holding on to the handle. I had my cane folded up on top of the handle. I stop to pull up my trousers, as my granddaughter calls them, and my wife, not knowing I let go of the cart, keeps going and makes a sharp right-hand turn to go to the restroom. And after pulling up my trousers, I proceed to walk around Home Depot looking for my wife and granddaughter, who I lost. Luckily, I had my cane, so I was safe. But then my granddaughter comes up and asks, "Where's Grandma?" But I didn't know where. My wife finds me, and we go to the restroom laughing all the time about Grandpa getting lost in Home Depot, pulling up his trousers.
Yay. Oh, Ricky, I can't tell you how many times I have been lost in Home Depot or Lowe's, but usually mine's because I wander off to look at all the tools and everything. So, and the restrooms are always in different places, at the front of the store, at the back of the store, and the side. So anyway,
Yeah, so you never know where it's going to be.
yeah, I've spent many a time wandering around looking for my wife in Home Depot. That's for sure. So,
And that's where you're just like, should I start calling for her? That's embarrassing too.
hello, Douglas on aisle 3, right? So,
You get
yeah.
lost all the time in stores. I always have weird things with shopping carts. So I will wander off. I like to smell candles. I don't know why that one popped into my head, but I always let go of the
Mm.
cart if I pass an aisle and I think, oh, it smells like candles over there. So I go wandering off and come back and put my hands on the cart. And then sometimes I hear like this, nobody wants to say anything, but they're trying to tell me that's not your cart.
Oh, or grabbing a cart with somebody and walking along with them, I guess, right? There's that too.
That I haven't done yet, but there's time for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be happy if we were to pay for what's in the cart, for them. So there's that.
So this next one I know you're going to appreciate because it involves technology. So this is a good one.
Oh, yeah.
It actually involves the Seeing AI app, which if you don't know what that is, it is an app which will provide information about what is in front of your camera. So you can use it to do things like read labels on, product packaging. You can read postcards, things like that. But it's a really cool thing to use in a store. And next up is Celia, and she discovered just how great Seeing AI can be.
My name is Celia Peterson, and for many, many years, I was a shepherd and a farmer, and tired. My sister and I, who were both widows, bought a little house in Spring Branch, Texas. I have glaucoma, and so my vision loss has been progressive, but then suddenly it's sped up, and it's out of control. So I found Hadley and love you. But I attended one of the technology, the check it out, and they talked about the AI. So I downloaded it. And then I was playing with it all over the house. And I thought, well, this is really cool. So we went to the grocery store, and I'm very brave in there because I have a cart that I can use instead of my stick. I'll just go right down the middle. And I took my AI thing and I put it up, and I was like, this is so cool. I can read the numbers up there that says, okay, the potato chips are in this aisle or whatever. And then as you cruise down the aisle, it'll catch glimpses and it'll say pickles or dressing. And then I have severe allergies. So that was my big deal because I hated asking strangers or my sister to read all the labels to make sure I didn't kill myself. So I'm going around and I'm so proud that I'm independent and I'm using this thing and I'm, waving my phone at everything. And the next thing on the list was salted butter because I love to bake. So I get over to the butter, and I have ADD, so my hands shake a lot. And evidently it makes it stutter when you do that. So I'm waving my phone over the butter section, and it got stuck on salted butt. And it's yelling it because, of course, I'm kind of deaf, so I have it up all the way. It's yelling, salted butt, salted butt, salted butt. And I'm getting tremendously embarrassed. So I tried to turn it off, and I was embarrassed and nervous and fumbling. So I thought, well, I'll just shove it inside my shirt. But then it started talking about other stuff in there. I guess buttons were getting hit. And so then I thought, okay, well, I'll put it in the cart. I'll just put it face down. But that little placard that's in the cart so that you don't leave your child was there. So it starts reading, do not leave child unattended in the cart. And it was really loud. And I thought people got to be watching So I just started looking around like, who is that? I wonder who that is. And then I walked as fast as I could out of there to the checkout.
Oh my.
Salted butt.
Salted butt. That is so great. Oh, for all things for it to get stuck on.
Yeah, it
Yes.
couldn't be like oranges.
I know, right? But that's it. Don't we just love technology, Ricky? I know we both do. Yeah.
At that point, I would have just wanted to turn around and do all my shopping online from now on.
Hey, absolutely. That's a great strategy, though, that she used. It just pretend it's not me and just
Again, look around
slowly
like,
walk away, just
what's happening there? I think I'll leave now.
bye. Oh my goodness. So, talking about shopping online, I tell you, I have something I'm gonna talk about. I was using my favorite purchasing app, Ricky. You can probably guess what it is. Starts with a letter A, has a Z in the middle, ends with an
Mhm.
N, right? So anyway, I needed to buy some
Yes.
cat litter, and my wife and I, we have 3 cats, right? It's a house full of cats. So I found their favorite litter in the app. And cats can be pretty picky, so that's important. So I added a 30-pound box of litter to my cart, and I checked my cart, nothing there. So I go back and I select it again and go back to the cart, nothing, right? So I go back and select it. If it doesn't work, maybe I just need to double tap it a lot. I'm using VoiceOver, right? So I
Right.
did it several times. It still doesn't show up in the cart. By this time, I'm getting pretty frustrated. So I close out the app and I think, okay, let's start all the way over, close it all the way out. And so I open the app back up and I find the cat litter again, add it to the cart, and it showed up in the cart. I was so excited. So, yeah, so I'd been at this for a while. So I quickly go buy now and purchase. And about 3 days later, 240 pounds of cat litter showed up in my house.
Gosh.
Right. So 8 30-pound containers of cat litter. So apparently it was showing up in my cart, and I was using VoiceOver, and I just wasn't swiping or flicking far enough to find it. So anyway, I think the cats were really thrilled about that. They had they never complained about too much cat litter. So
Yeah, well, at least they didn't change their minds like, we hate this litter now.
you know what? It didn't surprise me because that can happen.
Well, I think there are some things that just happen to all of us. Like you had one that was, you had 2 different shoes and didn't realize and were walking around all day. So,
Oh yeah.
and that one was apparently very relatable because we had a bunch of people who responded having done the same thing.
Oh.
And I think this next one from Kate, I at least find it very relatable. We'll see if you do as well.
Okey-doke.
From Kate. I have a little remaining vision, but one day I was practicing my blind skills, and I was wearing learning shades, which are completely black. I went to the store with my husband, and I walked into a pole. Well, not being able to see, I thought I ran into a person, and I apologized out loud. My husband and a cashier were laughing out loud and told me I just had apologized to a pole. Many other stories have happened since my vision loss, but this was one of the most memorable and honestly embarrassing.
Oh my goodness. Yes, several polls for me have hit me, but that does remind me when I was first started working at Hadley, they have these busts, like these heads,
Oh, right.
molds of different people, and they were having some kind of get together, and one of these was sitting on a pedestal, and all by itself over there. I'm thinking that poor guy is standing by itself, and nobody is over there talking to him. So I made my way over there. It was kind of a dimly lit room, and I was going to talk to him, and got really close and realized it was not a person. It was a bust. And so, but I got caught on my way over there, so it became a joke for a little while. Do you want to go talk to the bust over there, Doug? So
I mean, I figure they're lonely. And again,
that's right, standing over there by himself, poor fella.
Everybody's so polite, though. We haven't had any stories about someone cursing out a pole. No, everybody's always apologizing or coming to say hello.
Yep, or apologizing to a mannequin. I've done that too.
Oh,
So,
yes, so
oh, I'm
many
so sorry.
times. Up next, we have Scott, who has a story that's a little bit similar, but not quite the same.
From Scott. I walked into a dimly lit clothing store one day. I almost bumped into another person and quickly excused myself, only to realize I was talking to my own reflection in a full-length mirror.
Yes. Oh,
That one sounds familiar, yeah?
yeah, absolutely. I bet he's glad that the reflection didn't talk back.
Right?
That would have been even scarier. But yes, very similar to the mannequin in the pole. Yeah.
So that happened in a clothing store. That seems to be just a common theme here, is stuff that happens in a clothing store. And those are, like you said, with mannequins and, various clothing and things that could happen. So Stephanie is up next to share her story about something that happened in a store.
Hi, my name is Stephanie from Columbus, Ohio. My husband and I had walked into Old Navy. It was very quiet in there, so he wanted to go look at the men's stuff. And I said, well, I'll take my cane and go over and look at the women's stuff. So I was feeling my way around the different clothes, the things that were folded or hanging up. And it was really, very nice and quiet. I didn't have to worry about anybody. And then I came upon this quilted winter coat. And I thought, I'm talking out loud, by the way, saying, oh, this is really nice. I want one of these. I wonder if they have that in my size. All of a sudden, the person that was wearing the coat was saying, oh, I like it too. This is nice, yeah. And I just felt like I was going to faint, and I was apologizing. I was feeling the sleeves and the jacket and everything. It was crazy. And so after I apologized, she just laughed and said, it's okay, I understand. And nice. I ran over to my husband the best I could, and I told him what happened, and he said, I'm glad I wasn't there.
That's the best part of it. That sounds like what my wife would say. Well, I'm glad I wasn't over there in the middle of all that. So that's very similar to what happened to Carol.
What is family for?
Oh, absolutely. But I love how the people are reacting and being nice. I think that's so great. So we have a theme. We have a theme in this show for sure with clothing stores.
Yes.
And stuff.
Although I have to say, it's a wonder that any of us ever go out shopping for clothing as much as can happen when we're doing that.
I know, right?
But sometimes you have to try something on.
Yeah.
So
there is that. You got to, especially shoes or certain clothes, you want to make sure they fit just right.
Yes.
So try not to take them off other people in the store. But yeah, there is that. Well, that's funny.
I was shopping for a special event one time, and I had my friend with me, and, I would much rather have ordered something and hope it fit, but no, I really needed to get it right. So we had found a couple of dresses, and she was like, okay, go try these on. And you know how you go try the thing on, and then you come out of the dressing room and twirl and model the outfit and like, does it look okay and all of that. So I went and tried on the first dress and came out, strutting my stuff and like, okay, is it good? Do we like it? And my friend's like, well, I really like the way it fits, but the color just doesn't suit you as well. So I'm going to go and see if I can find this same style in a different color. Meanwhile, you go ahead and go back and try on this second dress that we chose and see if that one works. So, okay. So had left my cane back in the dressing room because, you couldn't easily get lost. And so I come wandering back to the dressing room and open the door and, oh my gosh.
Oh, no, don't tell
It
me.
was not my dressing room.
Oh,
I
great.
startled someone, and she laughed after a moment or two after getting over that
Right.
initial shock.
I like how you started that by saying you can't easily get
Yeah.
lost unless you do,
Unless
right?
you're me.
Or me. Oh my goodness, that's so yeah.
Yeah, and you feel so bad because there's that element of embarrassment. At least, when I've done this, there was the element of embarrassment for me, but I more feel bad because the other people who were involved don't always know what to do.
Right.
They're getting over the shock or
They're just stunned at the moment.
yes,
All you know is somebody has invaded their space, right?
exactly. So believe it or not, we actually have another clothing story. See, what did I tell you? These are really popular
Who
and
would have
very
thought it?
relatable.
Yep.
So this time we're going to hear from Linda.
From Linda. This was years ago when I was still legally blind. I was with my mother shopping in a store which sold clothing. Blue was the only color I could see with any degree of clarity, so when I looked up and saw a blue dress on a mannequin, I walked across the aisle and I said, "Oh, what a pretty dress!" And I put my hand up to touch the sleeve. It was then that I realized it wasn't a mannequin, but another shopper. I'll be eternally grateful that I said something nice about her dress.
There you
is that.
go.
That is opposite of talking to mannequins. And it turns out to be a real person, right?
Yes. But enough about clothes. Do you have a food related shopping incident perhaps?
I said I like to do shopping through apps and stuff.
Yep.
So this is another shopping story that involves a grocery shopping app, right? So Ricky, do you like banana ice cream?
Oh my gosh, I do. And I want to try and make it in my
Man.
Vitamix. I understand you can do that.
Yummy. Yes, yeah, you can. But my wife makes the best in the world. It is just the best banana ice cream. Everybody loves her banana ice cream. Even people that don't like bananas like her banana
Wow.
ice cream. It's just, yeah. So, I mean, it is so creamy. It's just so good. So we were having company over for dinner, and the plan is to have banana ice cream for dessert. And it turns out we don't have all the ingredients. So my wife kind of rattles them off to me as I put them all in a grocery shopping app, right? So went ahead and submitted the order. Anyway, our groceries showed up about an hour later, and we're unloading the groceries. And my wife says, "Did you order only one banana?" And, of course, I'm like, huh? And because the order calls for like 6 bananas. So now I distinctly remember, I promise you, Ricky, I zoomed in and I saw a picture of a bunch of bananas. I used Zoom.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even think to select the quantity. It's just like bananas. Oh, that's a bunch of bananas. Get it, right? So yeah, I would like to name it, blame it like on a mislabeled button or something like that. But no, I didn't have the 6 bananas. So, it all turned out okay because we ended up with just plain old vanilla ice cream and not my wife's famous banana ice cream. But anyway, I heard about that one for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, ice
So,
cream is ice cream, though. You can't
yeah, now there is that.
Yes. So, not related to clothing or food, we do have a story coming up from Pierre. So, let's hear that one.
From Pierre. It was in late 1989 or early 1990. I had just lost my vision, and my O&M instructor and I were working in a mall using my white cane. He was behind me, making sure I was clearing the ashtrays that were sticking out of the walls, along with the light fixtures. You see, I'm 6 foot 5 inches tall. Anyway, we were going on our merry way, then all of a sudden, bang! I got hit on my cane by something, and it was a lady that came out of the store with a baby stroller and hit my cane and ran into me. After composing myself and Jim getting my cane that flew out of my hand, the lady said, "Sorry, I didn't see you." And then I replied, "That's okay, lady. I didn't see you either."
I love
And
that.
that happened. The lady, Jim, and myself
Oh.
just started laughing, and a whole lot of others joined in.
Oh, I love it. Again, that's where that humor is so important, being able to just lighten up and take it as it comes.
And that's always so helpful when everybody involved can laugh about it, not just the person that it happened to, but the bystanders as well. And when they know, okay, yeah, it's okay, I can laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so fun.
But I imagine that orientation and mobility instructors could
Mhm.
tell some of the best stories because they've seen a lot, right?
They've seen it all. They've seen it all.
I had one that was a bit embarrassing and actually involved an O&M instructor as well. So one of the things that an O&M instructor will do, so they are working with you to be able to travel safely using a white cane and such. And they're teaching you not only these cane techniques, but as you progress, they are teaching you how to get from point A to point B and some things that you might do along the way. So, using the senses that you do have to figure out things about your environment, right? So, what kind of surface is your cane going across?
Mhm.
Is it carpet? Is it concrete or whatever? Do you hear anything interesting? Do you smell anything interesting? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I was working with an O&M instructor in a new area, and we had decided that, at the end of this route that we were doing and working on, we were going to stop for lunch. And all I needed to do was make it to the Subway sandwich shop. So I was like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
And I'm really hungry. It's like 2 in the
Mhm.
afternoon. So yeah, bring it on. I want the food. So I do the route and I get to the area where the store is, and I couldn't remember exactly how many doors down the Subway is, but I'm
Mm.
like, I got it. I'm going to use all of my lovely powers of deduction and I'll be able to figure this out. Yep.
Yep.
So I count 3 doors because I was pretty sure that it was 3 doors down. And I open the door and I go ahead and walk in because as soon as I open the door, I smell this really strong scent of onions
Ah,
and mustard
yeah.
and stuff. So I'm like,
This
okay,
is
I
it.
found it. Smell this faint scent of bread,
Mhm.
but those onions and pickles, oh yeah, okay. Those are sandwich fixins. I made it.
Yeah.
So I stroll in, walk up to the counter. It's really quiet, but it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm like, well, the lunch rush is over.
Mhm.
So off I walk up to the counter and I'm like, hello, hello. Yeah, so I would like a roasted turkey with mayo, pickles, lettuce, onion on wheat, please, and make that a 6-inch. And I just hear silence. And you know how you can tell that a
Mhm.
person is like looking around, looking over at
Yeah.
somebody else. So I can tell something's happening and I'm thinking, well, maybe she's looking at my O&M instructor and waiting for her to order as well.
Makes sense.
And nothing happens. Nothing continues to happen. And then suddenly I hear, welcome to Allstate. Do you
Oh.
have any insurance needs I can help with?
Oh, great. Oh my goodness. So what was all the fragrances or that you were smelling?
I guess because the Subway was next door and that's what the person had
Oh
for lunch
no.
because it was strong. It was like, oh
It's
yeah, a
like,
lot
this
of
is the
onions.
place. Welcome. You're in good hands with Allstate there, Ricky. They should have offered you up her Subway sandwich,
Right.
right?
Do you have
Oh,
any of
that
that
is great.
left? I'm really hungry.
I know. Yeah. Well, I think we've done that. I have definitely gone in the wrong store. Something I bet most all of us have done though is once we've left the store, even if it's the wrong store, Ricky, we've ended up at the wrong car, right?
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, I have done that more than once. I've actually gotten in the wrong car with people in the car, and get
Oops.
that, can I help you? Right. But, what's really shocking is when you walk up to one and you set off somebody's car alarm by actually yanking at the handle, and then
Oh,
it's going
no.
off. The big siren's going off. But I get, it's probably kind of funny to see someone with a cane scurrying away from the car, with a car alarm blaring. I can imagine that there's probably people thinking, that blind guy's trying to steal a car over there.
What's he going to
So
do with it?
what's he going to do with that? So yeah. So wrong stores, definitely, but definitely wrong cars. We've done a lot of that.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has been so much fun. I know that I, for one, am always relieved to hear these things that happen to me. And I'm thinking, I have to be the only one who's ever
Yeah.
done this because it is so embarrassing. It's so bad. And yet, nope, not just me.
A lot of people, and it is embarrassing, but a sense of humor really helps go a long way and helps diffuse all those embarrassing moments, right? So life is good, Ricky.
Yes, indeed.
Life is good.
If you can
Yeah.
smile about it at the end of the day, you've done something right. And if you can give somebody
Absolutely.
else a chuckle too, well, I say it's worth it, right?
Done a lot of that too, right? Oh, this has been fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this is one of many because I would love to continue the conversation. And if you're listening and you have something that you would like to share with us, just keep listening, past our closing here. And we've got that contact info for how you can call or how you can send us an email to share those funny stories with us. We'd love to hear it. Got something to say? Share your thoughts about this episode of Hadley Presents or make suggestions for future episodes. We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at podcast@hadleyhelps.org. That's podcast@hadleyhelps.org. Or leave us a message at 847-784-2870. Thanks for listening.